my name is Emma, and today I am giving you guys a review of The Dark Days Club by Alison Goodman. I was sent a copy of this book by Penguin Random House in exchange for an honest review, so that is what you guys are getting today, and thank you so much, Penguin, for sending me a copy. To give you a synopsis, The Dark Days Club follows a girl named Helen Rexhall who is living in the 1800s. Helen has been living with her uncle, aunt, and brother because her parents died, and the thing about that is Helen's mother is known as a traitor to all of Britain, and she has no idea why. On the night of her presentation in front of the royal family, the Queen reveals to her that everything is not what it seems when it comes to her mother's infamy. Soon after, Helen is thrust into this new world of London that she never knew existed, full of abnormal abilities, an ancient breed of warriors, as well as creatures that she thought only existed in her deadliest nightmares. Now, this review is totally spoiler-free, so you don't have to have read this book in order to watch this review. First off, I went into this book with absolutely zero expectations. I really had no idea what it was about, but I ended up loving it way more than I originally thought I would have. I probably would not have picked up this book, if at all, for a very long time had I not been offered a copy, but it honestly blew my mind with how fantastic it really was. I easily gave it 5 out of 5 stars, and it was definitely very deserving of that rating. I would just highly recommend this book. It's honestly unique in so many ways that I'm going to be discussing across this review, but it was just so refreshing how different it is and distinctive it is from general YA. Also, if you're a Shadowhunters fan, like myself, who has not found a single book similar to that world yet, and you've been just searching endlessly for it, this has to be your next read. Normally, I really don't like comparing books when I'm reviewing them, especially if I'm trying to tell you how unique that book is, but there is honestly not a single book out there that is so similar plot-wise, but still very individual in nature like The Dark Days Club. The similarities between The Dark Days Club and my favorite books of all time are something that I've been searching so relentlessly for the past 2 years, and I'm so happy I finally found that book. The very first thing I noticed while reading is that this book is extremely well researched. I'm not a big fan of historical fiction, and I haven't read a ton of books in that genre, but honestly, this is the most realistic and accurate representation I've read so far. It literally feels like I'm smack dab in the middle of the 1800s. Throughout the book, there is a big focus on how women have to be married and how it's blasphemous for them to do certain things, and it's just so true to that time period. I actually met Alison Goodman while I was in the middle of reading her book. I was like halfway through it, she was at a book signing I went to, so I thought, why the heck not meet her? But she's honestly such a wonderful woman, and the first thing I noticed about her is that she lives, eats, and breathes the Regency era, and that's so evident in her book. That kind of passion is something I love to see reflected in a novel, and I'm just so happy that certain aspect of herself is put into her work. So one thing that I found that was super unique about this world is how different it is from other demon hunting and monster hunting books I've read so far. Normally, the whole idea is that this group of people is out to eradicate these creatures from the planet entirely. In The Dark Days Club, the ratio of deceivers to receivers, the receivers being the good guys, is thousands upon thousands to 8 people in all of England. So their sort of mantra is a toleration of lesser evil to avoid an even greater evil. I just find that so interesting. Like, I've never read one of these books where the supernatural race of sorts is at such a disadvantage and so outnumbered that they let the not so bad monsters kind of do their thing so they can catch the really bad ones. Just another really unique concept from this book that I totally wasn't expecting, but I absolutely loved it. Now, I really loved Helen's character. I feel that she is so different from a lot of generic YA heroines. My favorite quality about her by far is that she's just so super aware of herself. She's thrown into this crazy world she didn't know existed, but she's always able to be rational and take a step back and evaluate the situation from like a level-headed point of view. Like, there's this one moment in the book where Helen is in public and she thinks that she's seeing demons, or better known by the Dark Days Club as deceivers, everywhere, and she's literally able to take a step back and be like, I am seeing deceivers in everything and everyone. Like, she's able to make sense of her thoughts and understand why she's feeling and thinking these different things, and that's something that I don't see a lot of in young adult literature. There's also a scene in this book where Helen is considering writing a letter to a man named Lord Carlston, who I'm going to talk about later, but she's able to stop and take a step back and consider herself like, oh no, writing to him would suggest I want to be involved in this club. I better not. Her rationality is something I truly admire, and I'm just so happy to see a refreshing quality like that. Something else I really enjoyed about the Dark Days Club is watching Helen's internal conflict throughout this experience. I mean, this girl has got a lot going on at the moment. She's just turning 18, she's got a ball going on that's customary for the time, she's being pressured to restore her family's reputation, she's trying to understand why her mother is known as a traitor, her uncle is trying to marry her off to the best offer. But underneath all of that, through this world of demons demons and alchemy that she's exposed to, she kind of has to question herself because of her faith. This is 1800s England. A lot of people practice Christianity, which I think is really interesting in itself because religion is kind of a taboo topic in literature, but it also has a lot of influence in this book. But what's especially interesting about this is that Helen cannot deny the strange occurrences around her with her abilities, but she also doesn't want to accept the fact that her life is now magic and demons and alchemy. Oh, there's also this hysterical scene where Helen finds these obscene and salacious photo cards. Oh my gosh, a woman in 1812 discovering pornography. It was pure gold. Back to Lord Carlston. He is another really interesting character. Helen meets Carlston at her presentation, and at first I'm really sketched out by this guy. He's definitely got a hidden agenda, like there are some underlying motives there, and he's playing some games that I'm not so sold on yet. As the story goes on and we learn more about him, I did really begin to warm up to him, and I'm really interested to see where his character goes in the following books. Also, concerning characters, I think the potential romance in this book is really, really great. I honestly don't even want to call it a romance at the moment because it's so subtle, but that's seriously so refreshing, and I'm just really happy about that. There is a lot of insta-love in books at the moment, but it was so nice to read about a slow pace and extremely realistic relationship. I totally ship it, and I cannot wait to see where it goes, but it was honestly just such a breath of fresh air to see a nice, slow burning romance. One other relationship that I want to quickly talk about is between Helen and Darby. Darby is Helen's closest maid that kind of gets swept up into Helen's newfound destiny. So my feelings toward this are kind of that their friendship is not as much of a friendship as it's really made out to be. It's more like one serving the other, which does make sense because Darby is Helen's maid. I just feel that they were written to have more of a friendship than they actually do. I'm not entirely sure if that makes sense. There were just certain scenes where I feel that they were sort of trying to seem like equals, but there was still a really distinctive difference in their ranks. That being said, I do think they have a ton of potential, and I'm just hoping that they kind of break this master-servant dynamic that they have going on and become more equal in the future books. So that's really it for my review on The Dark Days Club by Alison Goodman. I really enjoyed this book, and I implore all fantasy and historical fiction readers to give it a try. Thank you again, Penguin Random House, for sending me a copy of this book. I am so unbelievably happy I gave it a chance. So please leave a comment below letting me know if you guys have read The Dark Days Club, or if maybe you haven't but you've heard of it and this review makes you want to pick it up. I would absolutely love to know, but that is it for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you soon for a new one. Bye!